All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the fifth Crypto Cave podcast. Today, I
Hello.
am joined by my colleague Rufus, and we are joined by Clark from Basic. By Clark from Basic. By Clark.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
So,
happy to
Clark,
see you.
can you tell us something about what Basic is and what Basic does?
All right. Well, BASIC is a trade association. We represent people who maintain and build out blockchain infrastructure, crypto infrastructure. So, what we've been working on lately has been the Albany bill mining moratorium situation that I'm sure people watching have been following. We have been viciously fighting tooth and nail in order to make sure this moratorium does not pass. Currently, it is in reconciliation with another bill that we have been a big proponent of, and working closely with Assemblyman Clyde Vanell from Queens to get passed. And this bill is the Study Task Force bill. So basically, right now, the two bills are in reconciliation, and they, to some extent, nullify one another. So we are hoping for the best. But more broadly, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say before we get off to too much of a start here, would like to remind anyone and everyone that's watching to like and subscribe so that we can, reach a larger audience and hopefully be able to get Clark and Basics message out a little better here. So yeah. And then on your what you were saying, why don't you tell us a little bit just specifically about what before we jump into what you're doing, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Basic is and what they do and yeah, more generally like what is the Basic organization, how did it start, etc.
All right, all right. So first of all, first things first. All of our work is accessible online. You should check out our website, Blockchain Basic, BLOCKCHAIN BASIC.org, or check out our Twitter at Blockchain BSIC. So BASIC stands for Blockchain Security Industry Coalition. We secure a place for those who secure the blockchain. And basically, we've we the origin of BASIC was around the New York City mining moratorium. There was a realization amongst Rufus as well as several others in the mining community that even if uh, even if you're good and you follow all the rules and dot your I's and cross your T's, that regulation will find its way to you, even if you are doing everything good, giving back to the community, etc. So basically, we're an advocacy organization that represents people who build out blockchain infrastructure, and we've we've expanded our mission just from just that one bill that we initially formed around. But the spirit of what we're doing is it's shoe leather work, right? It's talking to marketing attention and publicity is always great. But when it comes to politics, it's a game of connections. It's a game of paying dues. It's a game of shoe leather work. It's a game of physically going into the building and talking to the people. And we've really been leading the way when it comes to advocating for miners, making sure that they get represented on a local level, on a state level, and on a federal level.
And do you just work for miners in the US or is
Uh,
it
no, our operation spans North America. So right now, even though there's a much more hospitable environment for miners up north, we also represent blockchain infrastructure creators in Canada and miners in Canada as well.
What do you
Sounds
think?
good.
What do you think are the biggest threats to mining currently in the political landscape?
Well, there is I'd say that most of the attacks that are going against mining right now, they come from, or they are sheathed in um, environmentalist language. And I believe that there are a lot of people out there who genuinely have been hornswoggled into thinking that, mining is going to destroy the planet, and all the carbon and all the, it's gonna kill all the nature. That's gonna it's gonna, destroy the planet. There are some people who genuinely believe that, but this is being pushed very aggressively by a lot of prominent nonprofits, NGOs, media outlets. It's a somewhat concerted attack, and that makes up the bulk of the anti-mining sentiment. Now, the other type of anti-mining sentiment we've seen is, for a while, Plattsburgh, they banned all mining because they said, "Oh, well, think of the quality of life, right? The facilities will be too loud. It'll be some sort of downgrade in the quality of the life of the locals." But uh, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, it turns out that Plattsburgh just issued a statement saying that crypto miners are great neighbors and they encourage them to come there. So, I think that a lot of people think, oh, these mining facilities, it'll be industrial, it'll suck up all the power. But I think a lot of those concerns have been disproven when it comes to actually, what plays out on the ground. And as far as the environmental concerns go, I mean, where to even begin with that? But yeah, I'd say that is at least 70 to 80% of the attacks on mining and crypto infrastructure are environmentalist tinged.
All right. Well, I think we can come back to this in a bit, and
Yeah,
why don't we go into our normal routine?
let's do some
Our
market
loyal
watch.
fans are
Yeah.
are used to our normal routine here. So let's go check out the markets first.
Yeah, you want to tell something about the Bitcoin market currently, Rufus?
Sure. I mean, it's going sideways as it was last time, last week. It doesn't seem like a ton of movement. Looks fairly depressed, I'd say. Which I think is a good sign, depression, as our friend who's not here today always likes to say, buy flat charts and sell vertical ones. Anyways, it seems like it's in pretty good shape. This is the what you got here is the Ethereum chart, but that's looks pretty
It looks pretty
similar to the
Yeah,
Bitcoin
yeah.
chart. Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually
they
think
look
the
alike.
Ethereum chart looks a little better, but yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I'm just glad we're out of these red days over here.
Mm.
And obviously, the economy isn't going that well currently, so we might be in for another couple of surprises in the next coming year. But let's hope, we, as crypto enthusiasts, have gone through the most dark days of this dip.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, but I think I made a bet last week, and I forgot what it was, but I think I'm still in it right now. We should get up like something every time to see how my bet's going, but anyways.
I'm not sure what the bet was. I do remember one, but I think I think it was specifically targeted towards like heavy movements, and nothing really happened. So I think we're probably all still in it.
We're not gonna get a heavy downtrend or something like that. But yeah, it sounds good. Looks like we are all still in it. Any thoughts you got, Clark?
Nothing in particular. I'll leave it to the expert.
That's good.
Well, our market expert is currently not here, so we're filling in for him. Yeah.
Phil usually is our market expert. And,
Phil is our trade Jesus, as I call him sometimes, our chart Jesus. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah. What were we talking about before? I think we were talking a bit about the more bigger issues that the environmentalists have. Funny thing is, I see myself as an environmentalist as well, but you gotta know when views are being skirted a little bit by bigger companies to I always think they like to point people towards the visions that they want people to have, and not really the visions that they don't have to be accurate. If you look at Bitcoin mining, obviously it uses power. I mean, I don't disagree with that, but a lot of people tend to forget that where that power comes from. And also, I sometimes I think a little that it's also a little bit a part of the energy companies. They're like, oh, we have some gray energy here, or some red energy here that's not really liked by people. We should just push some extra news around about how miners are to blame for it. And I mean, remember that all that oil crisis and stuff like that the Bitcoiners did?
I mean, yeah, I just on the same subject, like I'm certainly I wouldn't necessarily qualify myself as an environmentalist, but I'm certainly not a neocon or climate denier. I definitely believe in global warming. I'm a believer in the idea that we need to have a sustainable power grid and sustainable infrastructure. But this Green New Deal stuff and like a lot of what's going on in America, I was just talking about it the other day, and it's just like it's gone insane. This Green New Deal, I don't know even if you know what that is over there, Jacob, but they've got this proposal from these liberal guys in America to eliminate all fossil fuels in America in 10 years. And this was by like some pretty big politicians on our liberal side. They want to eliminate all fossil fuels in 10 years. And when they say that, I don't just mean like, oh, they want a carbon neutral power grid like what you guys have as targeted in Europe. Nothing sane like that. They want the elimination of all fossil fuels vehicles, airplanes, all of it.
I mean,
in 10 years.
I think from 2030 they're not allowed to sell any gasoline fueled cars anymore in Europe. So we're actually a couple years ahead. If we're talking about cars. But I mean, funny thing is,
I'm not talking about selling even. I'm talking about you wouldn't even be able to fly through the country with an airplane, fly over us with an airplane that wasn't fueled by some renewable source.
I mean, I think it's still possible. We have hydro. We have hydrogen. We have nuclear, and we can make a lot of hydrogen with nuclear power. I think they just need to up their nuclear game. we need to in Europe, because else we're getting in trouble with the Russians. They're cutting off our gas and cutting off our oil. So I think Europe is going to have to, and probably the world will follow. You know, Japan just announced that they're reopening 8 nuclear power plants.
You're definitely right that they got to up their nuclear game, but 10 years is a ridiculous time frame. A, B, the vast majority of people just are so disconnected. You know, I was going off about this the other day, and a friend of mine, I'm going to do a little pitch here. A friend of mine got me this book, and it's by a climate scientist, a fairly prominent one, and How the World Really Works by, I don't want to mispronounce his name there, but Smill, Mr. Smill, I'll say, or Professor Smill. And yeah, it's interesting because it's basically an environmental scientist ranting about how ridiculous the Green New Deal is, because there's just this total disconnect between how the world actually works and what these goals are. I mean, and Europe seems to be way ahead of the West on it, in that, you know, you guys just declared natural gas to be green. You know, the Green New Deal wants to get rid of all natural gas. They want to get rid of, they don't even want us to increase our hydropower, because that upsets ecological systems with fish and whatnot.
I mean,
you know,
upsetting ecological systems with fish in them. I mean, as a Dutch person, we just, you know, put a big dam in the sea and made sweet water from salt water. So,
yeah.
you know, upsetting ecosystems is something that we are very good at. But,
I mean,
yeah.
like something he points out in the book, that there's some interesting, really neat facts in the book. But like, basically, I mean, he goes into how everything is driven by energy. Everything's driven by energy. And the amount of energy that goes into the things, and the amount of fossil fuels going into the things that we produce, seems to be totally not understood by most people. Only 18% of CO2 emissions come from our power grid, come from fueling our power grid. The rest is coming from other sources. An interesting factoid he throws in there is that, like, our entire global economic system, everything, all of our supply chains, the food that we get, the medicine that we get, it's all driven by oil. And he has a really strong counter to the vegan movement in here, going off about how the CO2 emissions for a pound of tomatoes is more than the CO2 emissions for a pound of chicken right now. Because in order to get a pound of tomatoes, you gotta, sure, you can grow tomatoes in your backyard, but you don't. When you go buy tomatoes at the grocery store, the reason that they cost they cost next to nothing, whereas like 30 years ago, they cost a hell of a lot more, is because they're grown in greenhouses made of plastic, using pesticides and fertilizers made through fossil fuels, made using fossil fuels, and are kept cold using fossil fuels, kept transported using fossil fuels, and get to they're grown using lights that are using fossil fuels. Every part of it is very much driven by fossil fuels. Whereas a chicken actually survives, nowadays, our genetically modified chickens that we have here in the US that grow and have a full life cycle in, well under a year, are fed using grain and wheat that is produced using fossil fuels. Don't get us wrong, but it's much less fossil fuel intensive to do these very low level grains and wheats. And most of these products are not edible by humans, but you can feed a chicken with it, and that chicken can then feed a human very well. Those apparently takes just a few cups full of fossil fuels to get us chicken to our kitchen, whereas tomatoes take about the same weight as per their weight in fossil fuels to get to you.
Yeah. I think it's food for thought.
Yeah.
Something that we should talk about on our other podcast, fixing the environmental issues.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of this one, I think, is
I mean, it's true.
and
It's
the
true.
point of
Yeah.
this guy is that he needs to the solution is compromise, is what Europe's doing, looking at actually, okay, what are the greenhouse gas emitting things?
Mhm.
Let's try to get rid of coal. Let's let's retrofit coal plants into natural gas. Let's encourage natural gas. Let's encourage nuclear. He shows that that wind farms and solar farms, actually, if you include the production of the equipment, maintenance, and their lifespan, etc., are not that much better for the environment than either than natural gas is.
I think
And
Yeah, I think what it's important to think about is if you're talking about Bitcoin being bad for the environment, I mean that's obviously the thing that some people like to push because of the power usage. But power usage has been rising since forever, But I mean, for example, if you compare Bitcoin to gold mining, you don't need to destroy certain types of rainforest to mine for for Bitcoin illegally. That's what the gold miners do, and they put mercury in the ground and stuff like that to obtain this gold and stuff like that. And basically the only thing a Bitcoin miner does is use power. And obviously, not all power is good power. But I think we have some competition as well. For example, Hive blockchain, which is one of our biggest competitors, they mine everything with hydropower. So, that's completely green in my eyes. And I think as well, I mean, we mine everything with hydro, but I mean, we don't
do as well. Yeah.
we don't advertise it that much, but
Well, I actually just got off the phone yesterday with the energy official at our site up there, upstate, and he's going to send us some proof that we're 100% hydroelectric, and so we'll be advertising that more soon.
yeah. I mean, I do think it's important for people to at least think about what their actions do. But in the bigger thing, it's like the plastic industry. The plastic industry likes to push the fact that everybody needs to recycle on the consumers, but in the end, it's the plastic industry themselves forcing people to do that and making the people themselves feel awful about it. But I mean, the people themselves don't make that amount of plastic.
I mean,
It's the plastic industry themselves, and the energy market has to evolve eventually, and it has to be greener in the end. But it's not the Bitcoin miners that's gonna, that's doing bad. I think actually we're helping with that. We're allowing the build out of more green, of hydroelectric power plants and stuff like that, so I think we're actually helping it. Remember when we mined back in China? I mean, basically the whole dam was paid off by Bitcoin miners back there.
it was. And I mean, the truth is actually you said something that wasn't quite accurate earlier. You said that energy use is increasing always. In the West, that's not actually accurate. That our energy consumption it increases slightly these days, but we're not increasing. The rate of increase has been decreasing consistently for the last about 30 years or so, since the 1990s. And yeah, it's right now, that's one of the biggest things preventing us from getting green infrastructures, because who's going to build a renewable power plant or any power plant, much less a renewable one, when there isn't any demand for that energy? They've got to know renewable plants particularly have a certain amount of energy that they've got to be able to sell.
They have a baseline that they need to offset.
And in order to just recoup their costs. I guess we could replace everything using taxpayer money. But that would be a ridiculously stupid idea. Because all that'll do is we'll end up spending a whole bunch of money retrofitting power plants. It'll be sucked out of the general economy. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything.
It'll need a lot of subsidizes, to make sure. I mean, if you want it in 2030, that's it's fine, but it's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money.
I mean, it'll destroy your economy, and
Yeah.
you still won't be able to get it. To be honest, you might be able to get a green grid, but you're not going to get the vehicles off the road. You're not going to be able to sustain all those electric vehicles. That's just not practical. We don't have the infrastructure to even start to build that many electric vehicles in that time frame, let alone be able to power them using green energy. It's not going to happen. We got to focus more on what we can do that actually it does work, does help. I mean, I keep hitting that gas. Hydro is another huge untapped resource in the West, particularly. And nuclear obviously is just a joke. The fact that China builds one nuclear plant almost a month these days, and in the West, in America, we haven't built one in 30 years. I don't know. We're so far behind on that.
I mean, we have that as well in Europe. I mean, obviously France is doing good, but me and the Netherlands, we've just been shutting down every nuclear power plant for ages, and right now everybody's scrambling because our natural gas is it's being siphoned. I mean, it's not being provided to us as much anymore because the Russians don't like us that much for some kind of reason. I'm not sure why, but
we should probably bring Clark into this discussion a bit here. We've been.
It's funny that you bring up nuclear, because actually that's a parallel that I draw often. Right? It's like crypto mining, much akin to nuclear, is demonized, sort of like portrayed as this scary, all-consuming, blaze that destroys, the planet or whatever. But in reality, mining and nuclear are both ways to move towards the very green infrastructure that a lot of these alleged environmentalists purport to want to see built out, right? So, I know a lot of miners who are either working with local governments to build out infrastructure, or who wants to engage in those conversations but can't because there's some sort of bureaucratic obstruction. But yeah, no, I think that just like how there's sort of a nuclear terror around nuclear stuff, I think that there's starting to be a similar thing around mining, but also around proof of work in general, right? Because it's like, let's say for instance in New York State, right, where there's been this huge mining moratorium battle that's been going on. One of the sponsors of the bill in the assembly, Assemblywoman Anna Kellis, actually, I've seen her interviews where she talked about this stuff, and before she even gets into mining, she says, "Oh well, Bitcoin. This is why we need to ban Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is bad." And then she goes on to say, "Oh well, we need to get rid of mining regardless of whether it's being powered by hydro or flare gas that would otherwise be gotten rid of, or even anything, because the idea is, oh well, this is a waste of energy. Basically, it's like we don't want this in the first place." So I think that when it comes to both nuclear and mining, the conversations are just at such a fever pitch. I was wondering if you guys have seen a bit of this phenomenon at all. And
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm in Europe, so in my local area, nobody mines any Bitcoin because the power prices are 40 cents currently. So, yeah.
I mean, I have know one or two things about Netherlands, and I assure you that in the Netherlands there are plenty of crazy environmentalists who will say we need to ban nuclear, and we need to make all our solar panels out of mushrooms. But
I mean that's usually the vision that like someone like Bill O'Reilly used to push, right? I mean, everything in Europe is bad, and it will come to America if you don't watch out. Everybody will end up picking mushrooms in the end, and
to be clear,
it'll be horrible. No, but I mean,
to be clear, I'm not saying that is the common view.
You want to?
I am saying that there are people like that over there. But there are the Netherlands actually has saner policies than the U.S. tends to on most of the stuff. I don't know about nuclear, but
I think personally what I like about the politicians in the Netherlands, they sometimes like to acknowledge that they were wrong in the past. For example, one of the bigger parties that was always anti-nuclear is starting to, take steps back a bit and be like, all right, we always thought that we would go from red energy right straight to green energy. We should, make a transition through gray energy to make it, to make that hop possible. Because the biggest problem with renewables isn't that they don't work. I mean, obviously they work, but it's just that they don't, give a constant amount of power. And obviously now that they deemed natural gas green, we can, use natural gas, but obviously natural gas is still, it depletes in the end. So it's not renewable, but if it's green, we should move towards that. And in the end, I think, in 50 years, everybody can be fully renewable and stuff like that. I saw some great new technologies about turbines that you can put in the ocean.
Yeah,
which just uses tidal currents to
that stuff's really neat.
I think that's obviously wind is a bit hard sometimes, and solar as well. You don't always have wind, you don't always have solar, but I mean you've always got tides, and stuff like that. I think we're getting there. I mean, obviously, it's going to take a little bit longer than the 10 years that everybody hopes it's going to take, but we'll get there. And I think crypto is going to take us there because in the end, like we said before, everybody needs baselines. We need, with the gas flare-ups and stuff like that, you need some, if you can use that gas instead of just flaring it up and turn it into money. That's basically what Bitcoin mining can do for you,
Yeah, I mean, more than that, we build out all of the one of the big issues in electric grids is building out the high capacity wires, the high kVA transmission lines. And that's something that is enormously in crypto miners' interest to do because, traditional consumers, they don't really care about, 2, 3, 4 cent difference in price. Whatever, as long as they're getting their power, they don't really care that much. But obviously for us that is huge. 3 cents is the difference between going bankrupt and being very profitable.
I mean, I can give you an example about the situation in Europe because my power cost went up 100% in the last year.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to know how much line waste is going on in Europe, and I mean, I'm sure that a ton of that is line waste. What happens, is that these consumers, they want their power, they want it now, they want it to be all the time, and they don't really care that much about the costs. Typically, I mean, Europe's a great example, but they're able to get you guys to eat. What have you got now? Like 30 cent, 50 cent electricity per kilowatt hour, and
it's currently 30 cents. I mean, it's getting cheaper in dollars every month, though. So
that's good.
I mean, even though crypto has been going sideways, my crypto portfolio in euros has gone up due to the euro collapsing. So, there's always something good and bad things happening.
Exactly. There's always a silver lining. You mentioned flare gas a second ago, and that's an interesting thing about flare gas is the perception of gas that's literally just sort of gotten rid of and dispersed into the environment like that normally as being the green as it well I think using flare gas isn't green, but flaring it is somehow more green, right? That's something I've encountered a substantial amount, right? Like for instance, in the when it comes to the New York City moratorium, or sorry, the New York State moratorium, they were what included under the definition of dirty energy is flare gas. So that, I mean, that's just crazy to me. I don't know. I know that you talked about natural gas being considered green now in Europe. Do either of you think that there could be perhaps a similar change in thought when it comes to natural gas or flare gas in the States?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, obviously, the hard part is the gas that comes out of oil refineries is obviously a bit tainted because of it being an oil refinery, obviously. But in the end, it's a byproduct, and I think the byproduct itself could be, classified as something green. Maybe something gray. We could use it as a transition in our vision to green, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the big question, obviously, on getting green, and really seriously reducing our CO2 emissions is transportation. And particularly what we'll be powering our fleets with, our ocean fleets with. Yeah, that is right now, like, they're majority diesel powered. That's really the only thing that makes sense at this moment. Just based on the energy per density and ability to transport it. Actually, diesel and coal have similar energy density, but it's obviously a lot easier to pump diesel and transport it and put it where it needs to go and get it into the systems, etc. As long as we need diesel, we're going to need oil. Natural gas is just not dense enough for airplanes, for boats, for any of that. It works for cars and trucks because you can carry a lot more weight on those, be a lot less efficient with them, particularly if they have smaller radius, but yeah, I mean, if we're talking about so like, I guess the thing with flare gas is it's obviously stupid to waste it as long as we're pumping oil. And so we should definitely be using it. Oil isn't the greatest thing for the environment. We should definitely would be nice if we could get off of it. But we need better solutions. I know Koss was talking about hydrogen. It's an interesting solution. We need to actually see commercial scale development on that on any level before we can really figure out how to use that. I would love to see, but I doubt we will anytime soon, more of our fleet driven by nuclear, more super carriers and whatnot, nuclear powered super carriers. I think that would be a great way to do things, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah. I see there's a comment from one of our viewers. He's saying that it's crazy in the EU and that they charged him 22 cents per kilowatt for charging Tesla. And I think it's quite funny because I drive an electric car and I pay, if I want to charge my car on the road, I pay 53 euro cents. But I mean, if you want a gallon of gas, that's 11 euros or $11 currently. So yeah, gallon of gas is $11 as well. So welcome to the EU. I mean, I'm happy it's my country's quite small, so you don't actually have to drive that far if you want to go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if I drive for an hour that way, I'm in Germany, and if I drive for an hour downwards, I'm in Belgium. So yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Well, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to, high population density definitely helps. Most of the world does not live in as high population density locations as Europe, but yeah, it definitely is a good. That's definitely where you could see the largest reduction in greenhouse gas emitting. Would be yeah, Netherlands and other areas that have that super high density, because you can do all the infrastructure, as you say, like you don't have very far to travel anyways, so whatever.
Yeah. I think
I
we
mean,
should. I think we should switch over to our news section in a bit because
yeah,
we've been talking
let's
for a
jump on
while.
some news topics. Yeah.
Maybe Clark likes to tell something about the things that I mean, you obviously told about the two bills that you've been working on. What are
Yeah,
these?
why don't we go back to those? Yeah.
Yeah, what are these two bills in a nutshell, Clark?
Yeah, explain it.
Absolutely. So, just a brief, quick little rundown. We've got two bills. We've got a bill sponsored by Assemblyman Clyde Vanell and State Senator James Sanders, both from Queens. This bill is the Study Task Force bill. We support this bill. Basically, what this bill says is we're going to put a pause on new regulation during the next few years, and get a team of experts that includes at least one environmentalist, that includes people from the various blockchain industries and interests, people from various government interests, people who have like various constituent
Electronic
interests as well. Yeah,
electronic union,
yes,
electrician unions. Sorry.
exactly. Independent power providers, all those people are going to be are going to be part of the conversation, right? So this is we're gonna create this study task force, and they would basically see how this can be used to benefit New York State, benefit their constituents on the part of the politicians. Basically just see if we can work this out and potentially even make New York State a crypto and blockchain hub. If it can be arranged in a way that doesn't come in some way at the expense of people living here, right? So that is the bill that we support. That is Vanell Sanders. That is the Study Task Force bill. Now the other bill, which we are opposing, is sponsored by Assemblyman Kevin Parker from Brooklyn and Assemblywoman Anna Kellis from Ithaca. So what this bill would do is it would effectively ban all crypto mining that uses behind the meter power, right? Behind the and this is but due to the way it's written, it would have a lot of knock-on effects, and basically it would be telling miners to get lost and making them not feel safe here, because again, you can look it up. You can go to our Twitter page at blockchain BSIC. There you can see a clip of the of Anna Kellis, the one of the most intense proponents of the moratorium and the bill's sponsor, talking about how ultimately this is just a first step towards in an incremental fight to ban mining of any kind, even if it does use hydroelectric power, because think of all the other things we could be doing with the power, right? So as things currently stand, these bills are in reconciliation with one another, but the last few months have been an intense battle that we've been waging up in Albany. Granted, with far fewer resources than our opponents, right? Because it's like you have the Sierra Club, you have lots of big institutions, NGOs, nonprofits, and obviously mining is a relatively nascent industry, especially here in the States. So there's not really the political representation there. So that's what we've been doing up there every single week, traveling up to Albany and talking to politicians and hopefully explaining away misconceptions. So far, what we've been able to do is we've been able to get the Assembly Democrats to break party, right? So Assembly is quite progressive compared to State Senate, and Assembly is Assembly Democrats almost invariably vote as a group. But we were able to split the Assembly Democrats, and same thing with State Senate. So the Vanell Sanders bill passed with near unanimous support. Only one opposed it, and the other passed, I believe, 27-36. So while unfortunately it means that now both have to go into reconciliation, the bill wasn't defeated there. The last time these bills were defeated, the last time the moratorium was defeated was during reconciliation. But yeah, that's basically the state of what's been going on in Albany. Rufus, you actually managed to make it up there. I don't know if you have any. Yeah, I'd love to.
I mean,
your
the
thoughts.
thing that really worries me about the bill is, you know, the fact that it targets our industry specifically. Crypto mining is the only industry it targets. It just says only crypto miners are not allowed to use fossil fuels behind the meter to generate electricity. You know, it sets a really worrying precedent, to me at least, of like, why is our industry singled out rather than the banks, which use way more electricity, way more energy for, you know, their what are they, high frequency trading, which adds so much value to the economy, doesn't it? Come on, I mean, how are they allowed to do high frequency trading and have use ridiculous amounts of energy for it, making, you know, billionaires richer every day, while we can't offer mining services to our customers using the same energy. It definitely seems like they're picking winners and losers. You know, the government's sitting here saying we don't like this industry, and I mean, sure, maybe we should be getting rid of a hydro or hydrocarbon generating energy, but why not? You know, if you want to ban the use of fossil fuels for behind the meter use, then just ban all uses. Why target crypto mining? That's exactly the worrying part to me. That's what really gets me.
That's what I think as well. You know, why would you ban it just for us? I mean, Google's data centers uses tons of power. You know, Apple uses tons of power. They all have those big data centers. Facebook has them. Why? I mean, basically, I mean, the idea is, you know, people are like, yeah, but what's the use of Bitcoin? The thing is, you know, what's the use of Facebook? You know, Facebook makes a lot of people depressed and makes them get tunnel vision. I haven't used Facebook for over 10 years now. And, you know, I've been happier ever since I left. You know, it's just a big echo chamber of, you know, it's not very good for people's mental health. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the scarier arguments that I've actually heard, you know, a few progressive friends of mine just make is basically, well, you know, overall it's part of the green battle basically, but the thing is, you know, these big banks and Google and Amazon have, you know, armies of lobbyists and, you know, huge amounts of money to make political donations, so might as well, you know, take a swipe at the sort of like exposed underbelly, right? As opposed to the armor.
Well,
the
reason they go after us is because we're easy. Yeah,
it's a nascent industry. It's like, you know, if you want to ban coal, you know, as we've said a million times. But you know, the way they see it is, it's like, no, banning coal would be a hard fight. Instead, let's find you know young industry and you know destroy it because it's a weak point. Exactly.
I mean,
and that's a terrifying precedent. If you know, let's say, if, for instance, New York State or you know any state or you know America wants to or any country anywhere wants to move forward. I mean, when you see nascent technology, don't view it as something to be attacked. Instead, you know, start conversations. You know, kindle these nascent industries. I mean, you know, different parts of the world have different stories, but just speaking for New York State, where I was born and raised, we need jobs, right? We need jobs. We need tax revenue, right? We should be attracting, you know, these young industries. We instead of shutting the door on them and targeting them because they are weak. I mean, it's an astonishing precedent that we're setting here.
That's why we need you. That's why we need Basic. You know, we got to get organized, and we gotta fight this stuff. And yeah.
I mean, it's funny because crypto is a relative young industry. There's a lot of young individuals, you know, getting into crypto. And basically, what these old people are saying, because it's the old people who have the strings in hand at the who are the puppet masters of the banks and are the puppet masters of the bigger companies, the shareholders and stuff. And basically, what they're saying is let the younger people fix our energy problem. It's they're forcing us to. They're forcing the miners to fix their energy problems. But, in the end, I think everybody should be treated equally. The big companies have a bigger stake in energy and they should pay more for it, I think. If we want to go green, everybody has to pay their parts. Has to do their part, It's not just Bitcoin mining or anything.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is just typical politics. Like the little guy is always who the burden is offloaded onto. Organization, yeah. I mean, listen, I know a ton of miners, excellent people, but there is a tendency for a certain type of thinking, and I said this earlier, right? If I abide by all the rules, I'm a good neighbor, live and let live, right? I will be left alone, right? That trust me, I wish I lived in that world too, but again, the government will always find a way to hunt you to the ends of the earth and destroy you if you're not ready and you're not prepared. So what I hope is that the next 5 years or so, miners are going to really start to organize. People who create blockchain infrastructure are so powerful in so many ways, right? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of money there, but it's also the fact that we need infrastructure built out now more than ever, and these are people who know how to do it and are willing to come to the table and help. These are people who have a real stake in society, and if we don't get organized, the things are going to look really bad. What we're seeing playing out right now in New York State is, the battle is going to intensify, and do our opponents have more resources? Yes, but they're also very organized, right? And we need to organize if we're going to survive as an industry the next decade. I would say maybe even less.
Let's get some of those news articles up here.
Yeah. I agree with you, Clark. I completely agree with you on that. Yeah. I like this one. It's about the Texas power grid. Rufus, you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, what can you say? Looks like, first of all, Texas power grid's a mess. I mean, the Texas has their own power grid. They're not. I don't think their scale really makes sense on it. Having a power grid, they at that scale, they need more scale. They don't have any hydroelectric resources. They have a little bit of nuclear. I think they've got 1 plant or 2 plants down there. They've got a bunch of coal, obviously, it's Texas. And a bunch, but the majority of their base load is coming from nat gas, which, prices are going crazy right now. And then just the way that nat gas is pumped in the US due to fracking and everything, it's very on off. You can kind of switch it on when prices are high and off when they're low, but there's a bit of startup costs, and nobody ever wants to switch it on when they think it's a temporary thing, because they got to pay a bunch of money to switch that on. Yeah, I mean, the Texas grid is a whole. You could do a whole topic just on that, but what I found most interesting is that it looked like Bitcoin miners kind of came in and saved the day for Texas. They turned off a large amount of mining operations as the price went up, and apparently freed up 1% of grid capacity.
Yeah, I think I talked to someone from Riot at Scott's Mining, and they actually have some agreements with the local governments to turn off some Bitcoin miners when the when the usage gets too high. But yeah, I mean, who would have ever seen it coming that it would happen to Texas, right? I mean, they haven't had this before, so.
I mean, they have had. I assume you're joking there.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
good.
I know sarcasm is a
sure.
bit hard on Americans sometimes. So.
Well, I was looking at your. I couldn't see your face.
Oh yeah.
But,
well, I was trying to do it with a straight face, so.
Oh, there you go. You did.
Yeah.
I mean, anyways.
Yeah. I think this is the most interesting one of the news articles of this week. Obviously, the market has been going a little bit flat these days, so there's not a lot of interesting things. What I did read about, obviously, is Celsius. Have you guys read some things about that? Apparently, there's some discrepancies in the balance sheet of some $1 billion or something. I'm not sure if it's fully confirmed, but there's some shady stuff going that went.
It looks
went
like
on
a lot
there.
of people are going to lose a lot of money for sure.
Yeah,
or at least someone's going to lose a lot of money. That's thing, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why don't you talk a little bit about it, the Celsius?
Well, I mean, I haven't completely read up to it because I was too busy in the last couple of days. But I want to tell people that if you want to meet us, if you want to talk to us, we will be at Mining Disrupt in Miami. Mining Disrupt is on the 26th of July. There will probably not be a Crypto Cave podcast next week because we will be too busy.
We'll have the next 2 weeks probably.
Probably the next 2 weeks, yeah. I will be traveling to the U.S. Next Thursday to go to Mining Disrupt, and I'll be joining Rufus, Phil, Jort, Clark, Nick, and all the other people that are watching right now that are going there. Come visit our booth. I'm not sure what booth number we have. Do you know it, Rufus?
Oh, I think 36. Let me confirm that it is 86.
Booth 86. All right. Yeah, I think that's it for now. I mean, our time's up. Clark, do you want to?
Absolutely. If you want to go to Mining Disrupt, but you haven't bought your ticket yet, or you know someone who wants to get a ticket, or you want to upgrade your ticket, use our code BASIC, all caps, BASIC, BASIC, MDC 2022. I posted it in the chat. If you can maybe post it in the video chat, Jacob.
Yeah, post it under the video when you post up the video, Jacob.
I'll make sure to include the Mining Disrupt coupon in the description of this video. So if you're watching this later, just check the description and you'll see it.
And even better, 25% of all proceeds raised are going straight to our lobbying effort, right? So BASIC, basically we're a very small and nimble organization. We do not have a lot of staff. We do not have a big marketing team. None of us are taking a salary. Every single cent donated will go straight to our lobbying effort and to make sure that mining is protected in North America. 25%, and it's a 25% discount. So if you're going to Mining Disrupt and you don't have a ticket, there's no reason not to get one right now using our code.
Yeah, I highly advise going to Mining Disrupt. If you're a miner, just go there. It's going to be awesome.
Use the code.
Use Clark's code. I'll put it in the description.
I hear there's going to be a cigar lounge for those who are interested, and all sorts of other wonderful festivities. So yeah, for anyone who's interested in getting involved with the Blockchain Security Industry Coalition, our website is blockchainbasic.org.
It's in the
Our
video.
Twitter is, all right, perfect. Twitter is blockchain BSIC. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to joining you again at some point. Thank you so much, Rufus. Thank you so much, Jacob. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for being here, Clark. Yeah, and everybody who's watching, please like and subscribe.
Yes.
You know, I saw someone in the chat that said I like turtles. Daniel, if you if you wanna like and subscribe, we'll see you guys next time.
Take care, guys. Talk to you.
Talk to you.